Are you doing everything right, but still having trouble losing that stubborn fat? You're eating clean, you're working out, you're cutting calories. Well, it might not be your fault, because what I'm going to share with you today, it's gonna shock you. I'll break down 5 little known reasons why your belly fat refuses to budge and why most doctors completely overlook these reasons. And all this is taken from my brand new book that just came out, Metabolic Freedom. So let's start with reason number 1. That's gonna be you're not getting enough protein. Most people eat way too little protein, especially for breakfast or their first meal of the day. That's a big mistake because protein triggers satiety, it balances blood sugar, and supports muscle growth. And there's a thermogenic effect where protein raises your basal metabolic rate, which means it helps your metabolism burn more calories, burn more belly fat. So what it does, it takes those calories from the protein, turns it into digestion, and it's called the thermic effect of food. I talk about this in Metabolic Freedom. And a study I referenced in the book is a 2021 study from Nutrients, and it showed high protein diets improved body composition by enhancing fat oxidation and preserving lean muscle mass. The more lean muscle mass you have, the more insulin sensitive you are, the better you take food and turn it into energy. And at the end of the day, the more belly fat you burn. So what is the recommendation for protein? How much should I have, Ben, if I want to burn belly fat? You want to aim to get at least 30 to 40 grams of protein at all of your meals, especially your first meal of the day. And then in general, you want to aim to get 1 gram of protein per pound of your ideal body weight every single day. What does that mean? For example, if you currently weigh, let's say 215 pounds, and your ideal body weight, your goal weight is to get to 160 pounds, then you want to aim to consume 160 grams of protein every single day. If you don't hit that marker, then at least get 30 to 40 grams of protein at each meal. Not all protein is created equal. In Metabolic Freedom, I discussed the value of animal-based protein. It is far superior. It is a complete protein. That's going to be meat, which is red meat, lamb, eggs, wild-caught fatty fish, organic poultry, even bacon and eggs are terrific sources of protein. If you're a vegan or vegetarian, then you want to go with organic fermented soys like tempeh and natto. If you want to cover your bases here with your protein requirements, then consider using an essential amino acid supplement. I use Kion over at getkion.com/metabolic. You could get 20% off their Kion amino acids. But that's the first tip. That's the first reason why you're struggling to lose belly fat. You're not eating enough protein. Fix that, and that'll get you in the right direction. Well, let's move on to reason number 2. And that's going to be your insulin levels are high from too many carbohydrates. And it's not just the carbohydrates, it's also the snacking and the grazing. Insulin is the only fat storage hormone in your body. I want you to think about that for a second. Don't let that just go right past you, because you have over 600 hormones inside of your body. But there's only one hormone that signals to your metabolism, store fat, store belly fat. And that hormone is insulin. And you might hear the argument, yeah, but I thought cortisol also causes that cortisol belly and belly fat. Yeah, it does it by triggering insulin. You see, it is the insulin that causes it. And we'll talk a little bit more about cortisol later, but with food, carbohydrates, and snacking and grazing, you're getting constant insulin spikes. And always remember this, when insulin is high, you're teaching your metabolism to store belly fat. When you drop insulin, you signal to your metabolism, burn that stored fat, burn your belly fat. In Metabolic Freedom, I explain how high levels of insulin, it's the first domino that triggers metabolic dysfunction and metabolic disease. So what is the solution? Gradually lower your carbohydrates to bring your total carbohydrates under 100 grams of carbohydrates per day, even better under 50 grams of total carbs per day. You're going to replace that with the protein we just spoke about and even healthy quality fats. Along with doing that, get rid of the snacking, get rid of the grazing. Start with 3 meals a day, protein and fat focused, lower carbohydrate meals, and you're going to be tapping into stored body fat. Reason number 3 why the belly fat won't budge, you're eating too close to bedtime. In chapter 6 of Metabolic Freedom, I discuss how late night meals disrupt circadian rhythm and melatonin production. These are 2 crucial regulators that contribute to fat burning deep sleep. This might shock you, but you actually burn a ton of belly fat during deep sleep, not necessarily at the gym, working out, that run, that sprint, but when you get deep restorative fat burning sleep. And when you eat too close to bed, within 3 hours before bedtime, it will raise your body temperature, which prevents you from getting into deep fat burning sleep. It also raises your heart rate, which is not conducive for recovery. And it leads to acid reflux, GERD, bloating, because you're not digesting food properly because you're eating food and lying down. We never want to give the metabolism energy in the form of food and then not use that energy, like eating before bed. It is a metabolic disaster. It ages you faster, causes poor sleep, fat storage, and you're not getting restorative fat burning sleep. Numerous studies that I outline in Metabolic Freedom, Chapter 8, the chapter on fasting, show that early time restricted feeding, that means finishing up your last meal, dinner by, let's say, 6 or 7 p.m. the latest, significantly improves insulin sensitivity and reduces belly fat. The later in the day that we go, the more insulin resistant you are. We're just not designed to eat food and eat carbohydrates later in the day. So if you do have carbs, having them earlier in the day versus later in the day, it's a game changer. But in general, no food at least 3 and even better, 5 hours before bed. Kitchen is closed. Let your body digest that food, lower insulin. That helps you shift into that fat burning deep sleep where you wake up with a slim waist and a flat stomach. Reason number 4 why the belly fat won't budge. You're not building lean muscle mass. You're not strength training. And I'm not saying you got to become a bodybuilder or a CrossFitter, but I am saying you got to put on some lean muscle mass. There's a really interesting study I put in Metabolic Freedom that was done on the metabolism. This is going to blow your mind. Hopefully you've never heard this before. It's a newer study. It's from Duke University. It was published in 2021. And here's the thing. I hear so many people say, the reason why I've gained weight and I have all this belly fat is because I'm getting older. There's nothing I can do. I hit 40, I hit 50, I hit 60. There's really nothing I can do. It's an excuse they make. Well, this study, it just throws that excuse away because it shows that that's not true. You see, this study took 6,600 people around the world, not just in the US, but it was a worldwide study, and it took all different ages in this study, starting from age 1 all the way to age 95 years old, and everybody in between. And it used the gold standard of metabolism measurement, which was a urine test. And here's what the study showed. Between the ages of 20 years old and 60 years old, the study said there are no significant changes in the metabolism at all. The study went on to say that once these participants reached age 60, there was a 0.7% decline in the metabolism every year after age 60. You might be watching this and listening to this and you're over the age of 60 thinking, well, that sucks for me. But guess what? The study said the reason why the metabolism starts to decline after age 60 is loss of muscle mass. This means if you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and you work on building lean muscle mass right now and preserving it, or if you're over age 60 and you work on building lean muscle mass, you could be 75 years old, 85 years old, and have the same metabolism firing on all cylinders, burning all that belly fat as when you were 25 years old or 20 years old. That's pretty cool. So it starts with strength training. Cardio burns calories. Strength training changes your metabolism. Muscle is your fat burning engine. It burns more calories at rest and improves insulin sensitivity. The more muscle mass you have, it acts like a sponge to absorb glucose when you eat a meal so you don't have to produce as much insulin, which allows you to burn fat. It upregulates something called the GLUT4 transporters. Just think of that as a sponge to suck up the glucose. So if you incorporated resistance training 2 to 3 times a week for just 30 minutes each time, that has been proven to help you burn belly fat. You could lift weights or you could lift your own body weight, start with where you're at and improve that from time to time. But if you're not lifting weights and doing strength training, you're missing out on a huge metabolic fat burning method that works really, really well. Reason number 5, you can't burn that belly fat, goes back to sleep. We kind of discussed a little bit about sleep, but let's go a little bit deeper here. Sleep is where your metabolism repairs. In chapter 6 of Metabolic Freedom, I call sleep the Swiss Army knife of the metabolism because when you upregulate sleep, everything in your metabolism improves. But when your sleep is crap, you start to store belly fat. Study after study shows that just 5 nights of poor sleep in healthy men resulted in higher levels of blood sugar, high levels of insulin, higher levels of the hunger hormone ghrelin, and lower levels of the fat-burning hormone leptin. When you're not getting quality sleep, it raises cortisol. And what did we just learn? Cortisol activates insulin and you start storing belly fat. You've heard of the cortisol belly. That is a result of poor sleep or even high stress levels. Chronic sleep deprivation has been shown to increase visceral fat, the fat around your organs, creating pressure. It's just problematic. So you want to get about 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Don't eat right before bed. We talked about that. Keep the bedroom cold. The studies show 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit is where you get good, deep, fat-burning sleep. Keep the bedroom dark. Mouth tape. I talk about this in the book. Mouth taping has been a game changer for my fat-burning sleep. I use a company called Somnifix. I'll drop a link and a coupon code for them down below. And avoid screen time and stimulation right before bed as well. And in chapter 6 of Metabolic Freedom, I go deep into how to restore sleep, burn fat, and just restore your metabolism. Now, speaking of which, before I get to the questions here, if you haven't purchased Metabolic Freedom yet, it just released, and you could get it on Kindle, Audible, Spotify. I narrated those myself, or even hardcover. And when you buy it over at metabolicfreedombook.com, you'll get a free course on the metabolism with 12 lessons and exclusive interviews. So go to that website, scan the QR code on the screen, or go to the link in the notes down below. Go get it. At the back of the book, there's a 30-day plan that helps you burn fat. You could lose up to 20 pounds in these 30 days following this simple 30-day plan. And in some cases, like John Miller, who followed this game plan, he lost 44.4 pounds in those 30 days following the exact structure at the end of the book. There's fat burning recipes. We talk about keto. We talk about fasting. You learn more about your metabolism than ever before. So go get the book. It's also available at Barnes & Noble and your local bookstore. Now let's get to your questions. How much protein is too much? Can eating too much protein turn into sugar and block fat burning? You know, it's hard to eat too much protein, especially when it's animal-based, because it's just so full and satiated. We used to think that you could not metabolize more than 40 grams of protein at a single meal. Well, that's been debunked, and recent studies show you could have around 100 grams of protein in a single meal. And as long as you have the digestive enzymes to break it down, you break it down, and then you urinate the rest. So it's not a problem, especially when your carbs are low. It's hard to get too much protein. It's hard to create too much of what's called gluconeogenesis, which is a blood sugar spike from the protein. So I really wouldn't worry about it. What types of carbs are okay to eat, and when should I eat them if I want to lose belly fat? In general, you want to keep your total carbs under 100 grams a day, 100 grams of carbs per day, or even better, 50 grams of carbs per day. And it should be from non-starchy carbohydrates, green leafy vegetables, low glycemic fruits like blueberries, and that's pretty much it. And the best time to have that is the first meal of the day. If I work out at night, is it still bad to eat late? Well, I don't want to give you the bad news here. It's two bits of bad news. Number one, you don't want to work out too late at night. That could interfere with your sleep. Give yourself at least 3 hours before working out and bedtime. And yeah, you don't want to eat after the workout if it's going to be within 3 hours of bedtime. So have a meal before the workout and make sure the workout is at least 3 hours before bedtime so your body temperature could drop and get into fat burning sleep. How long does it take to see results from these changes? Well, you're going to see it within the first week. In the 30-day plan in Metabolic Freedom, you'll lose 5 to 10 pounds that first week, and then 20, sometimes 40 pounds in the 30 days. But you'll see results within a matter of days, which is super cool because it'll inspire you to keep going. What about skinny people with belly fat? Does this still apply to them? It does. We store fat in different ways depending on our genetics. So you could be visibly overweight on the outside, and then you could also be lean on the outside, meaning your body's lean, but your belly fat is also, you have a lot of belly fat is what I'm trying to say. It's still dangerous. A lot of the times those who are skinny but have belly fat have a lot of organ fat, visceral fat. So it's also dangerous, and these tips will also help for you. That's the protocol. Those are the 5 reasons why your belly fat won't budge. Make those changes. Go get Metabolic Freedom over at metabolicfreedombook.com and share this lesson with a friend. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And hey, if you love this lesson, I recently published a video on how to lose 10 pounds in 7 days using these 3 keto egg rules. It works really well. Check out this clip and I'll see you in that video. This protocol is perfect for the following people. You've lost some weight, but you still have the last 10 pounds to go. It's also for the person who has an upcoming event, an event that you want to look lean and you want to drop 10 pounds in a week. This will do it for you. This is also for the person who has fallen off track with their diet and nutrition and want to get back on track to kick